The ego has no room in a transformation. So transformation is the muscle of an organization that you need to keep evolving and keep training. It's like having a Ferrari parked in the garage that nobody wants to drive. You can have the greatest technology. Nobody wants to use it. Every transformation transforms me in a way. Every billing system implementation is the same. What makes it different? They think a plan is the same as a strategy. Absolutely not.
Hi everyone, welcome to Powering the Future, a podcast by Esyasoft, where we speak to the leaders powering the future of energy, technology, and transformation. I'm your host, Aisha Sarna. Today, we are going beyond buzzwords and getting real into what transformation really sounds like. Transformation is not just about new systems, new strategies, or new technologies. It's about making people adapt in the new environment. It's all about people adapting, leaders building the trust, and the organization growing from vision to the real impact. And joining me today on this conversation is Jamal Najem, who's our Group Chief Transformation Officer, and she's here with us to decode what real transformation sounds like. So let's welcome Jamal Najem to our show, Powering the Future. Hi Jamal, it's lovely to have you here today.
Hello Aisha, it's a pleasure to be here and of course to talk about transformation, a subject that's close and dear to my heart.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So let's start with something really basic,
yes,
which is core to your heart. Let's start with the real word. What does transformation actually means?
Yes. So transformation is a word that you hear often. Everybody likes to put it on a brochure and talk about it. And, you know, it has different meanings for different people. But for me, as someone who's spent their career delivering programs and transformation and transforming organizations and helping them navigate through change. What transformation is not, let's start with that. It is not a project. It's not a set of activities that you do on a certain day and then you check them off and you celebrate that milestone, even though that is good and it's necessary and it's part of the transformation. It is not the transformation itself. Transformation is about asking the questions of, as an organization, what can we do different to achieve better outcomes? And it's a constant asking of, what can we do different to achieve better outcomes? So you can do something, get to a certain point, and then you think, okay, great, we cut the cake, we celebrate, but then you still need to ask yourself, now that I'm here, what can I do different to achieve better outcomes? So it's an ongoing journey, if you will, and a mindset shift of delivering a platform or a technology to starting to think in an agile way of continuous growth and change.
That's a beautiful definition to the transformation which you have given. In your viewpoint, what actually comes first during transformation? People transformation or technology transformation?
So I don't think of it in terms of what comes first or what comes second. You need both for different reasons. I see it more as where do I start, but both arrive at the same time. So you always start with people, not because it sounds good and it's, you start with people because people are far more complex than any technology you'll ever implement. And in a transformation, the challenging part is not delivering an ERP system or a billing system or introducing, you know, a new process that looks good on paper and it flows nicely. The challenge is that you are dealing with complex human beings and you are trying to change mindset and habits and pushing sometimes people outside of a comfort zone. And that takes time. It also is about building trust. It's also about trial and error. It's also about courage and confidence. And those things are not things that you see on a project plan. But those are the things that are at the heart of a true transformation. It's the change or the shift that happens within the people that are in an organization. So I start with people every time I join an organization. I study the people, I analyze the mindset, I understand the culture. And then, of course, the technology is important. It's an enabler for, accelerating outcomes, making things easier, also helps with doing things better. But if the technology is not adopted by the people, it doesn't do anything. It's like having, a Ferrari parked in the garage that nobody wants to drive. You can have the greatest technology, but if nobody wants to use it, or you have a Ferrari, but you're using it to go to the grocery store 2 blocks away, and you live in a country that is super cold, where really it's not a Ferrari that you need, it's a car with really strong, tires, winter tires. It doesn't. So you have to understand the people, you have to understand the culture, and you start with bringing the people along the transformation journey. And then the tools, the technology, all of that, when it arrives, you have someone to drive the car or someone to use that new fabulous system you just implemented and use it in the right way to achieve the best possible outcomes.
They are aware of the transformation, there's a need for change. But what the real challenge is understanding and implementing. Where do you see the transformations are getting failed? Is it because of strategy, execution, mindset, or is it because of communications?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one I get asked a lot. Is the problem the strategy, or is the problem the execution? Where does it fail? I think strategy is like knowing where you want to go. It's the destination, right? I want to go from point A to point B. I want to go there in a car, not a bike, not walking, in a car. And I want to get there because of A, B, C, and we're going to take with us 3 people in that car. That's kind of where we want to go, why we want to get there, who's going, and how do we know we arrived? Okay, so maybe that's the strategy. The execution part of the strategy is, all right, do we need to build the car? Do we have the car? Which car do we get? And then you start to find out, the manufacturer is late in shipping the car that we want. 3 people have to get, but the 3 people, one wants to go this way, the other one wants to go that way, and so you start to map the road. And then you didn't foresee that there's going to be a storm that is going to delay your arrival. So how do you navigate? And then you go a certain part and you see this big tree trunk blocking your way. So you thought this road was the right road, but then the people who create the strategy are at the top of Mount Everest. The people who are executing the strategy are at sea level. So the challenge on a transformation, and what transformation leaders are usually very, very aware of, and is part of a job, is to build the ladder between sea level and Mount Everest and get the workout. Climb to Mount Everest to communicate what's happening at sea level, go down to sea level and communicate what is happening at Mount Everest. And making sure that the execution is still going towards the final destination, but also making sure that the reality on the ground at sea level, the challenges that we are seeing, that we are experiencing, the people who have the strategy are aware of that and are supporting and enabling the team on the ground and giving the time, the tools, whatever it takes to navigate this. Because on paper, things look one way. In reality, it's different.
That's a beautiful analogy of ladder. To cover the gap when you are in the journey of transformation.
That's why I don't go to the gym, because I get my workout climbing the ladders between strategy and execution. I feel like I'm putting in my steps every day in my job. The mental ladder.
So that's actually a very real picture of what transformation looks like. Some companies get stuck during the transformation journey. And there's a lot of difference between the leadership vision and the ground reality. So how to cover that gap?
It's still a continuation of the analogy I gave, but what I see works. When you get stuck in a transformation, or there's a problem, there is only one way, not 100 ways, there's one way. If you want to fix a problem at sea level, you need to be, as a leader, at sea level. And you need to be helping the teams on block. You cannot be from Mount Everest using a microphone saying, hey guys, you're late. You got to be on the ground seeing what is causing the delay. And maybe because you're the only one who's going to be able to allow the latitude to change a little bit the course in order to still arrive at the destination. But if you had mapped out, I need you to take route A, and route A had a major storm and trees fell and the car cannot go, you are the only one who's going to be able to give the team permission to say, you know what, make a detour, take route B. It may be a little bit longer, but it will still get us where we need to go. Because otherwise, you're going to be stuck here waiting for road A, for somebody to come clear the branches, remove the trees, just because we want to stick to a plan. And so I know it's an analogy, but how does that translate to on the ground? That's the agile thinking. That's the way that you don't just make a plan and you stick to the plan, and that's, if the plan moves, oh my God, something is off. No, you have the vision of the destination, you draw out the plan, but you stay in communication and you are on the ground, and you're also always looking at, I face a problem here. How do I bypass? How do I now change? How do I navigate? Because you're always going to be navigating. And I think that's the difference between programs that make it to the finish line and programs that get stuck.
How beautifully you have sorted that.
It's something I've been living for the last 25, 30 years. And it's the same in every company, in every industry. We get stuck because we put things on paper and we think because this is the linear way this has to go. When we come to execute in reality and things are different, unless somebody is telling you it's okay, change course, make the decisions real time, take a risk somewhere, people get stuck.
True.
They don't move. Whether it's fixing defects, whether it's modifying an architecture solution, whether it's modifying a requirement, whatever it is. So that's the role of a transformation leader. That's the difference also between a transformation leader and any other chief or leader, is that we have to be able to operate here, but you also have to get your feet wet at sea level and your hands wet in the sand, because if you just stay here, you will not deliver. Pure and simple.
I think that's where most of the companies get stuck, where they don't see the ground at the sea level, what's happening, and they test the waters down before implementing them.
So my hands are always dirty, but I'm also very strategic. So I got to see the big picture. When I see it, I have to be on the ground with the teams, plowing through. Then back to keep an eye on the big picture. You can't stay only there. You got to see both and operate at both.
Jamal, you have been driving transformations across the regions, across the teams and cultures, and you have actually done around 10 plus transformations. What's the real lesson which helped you, and does it even help your own personal journey?
I would say, first of all, thanks for that question. I don't think anybody asked me that before. Every transformation transforms me in a way. Because also, part of the reason I keep doing this over and over again, because they're extremely difficult. And it's also very taxing emotionally, mentally, is because it allows me to keep growing and keep learning. So every transformation is different because, again, you're dealing with people. Every SAP implementation is the same. Every billing system implementation is the same. What makes it different is the culture in which you're operating. And what is a culture? A culture is the sum of the people and the mindset and the behaviors, right? So every time I go to lead a transformation, most of the time it's in different geographical regions, so I have to take into account the cultural aspect as well as the company culture itself. And then I have to learn about the people that I will be interacting with and working with. And when I say learn about them, it's not about who they are as a person, their name, they have family, they don't have family. No, it's deeper than that. I have to learn about what makes them tick, how they think. Are they the influencer in the organization? Are they the follower in the organization? Are they going to be the champion of change, or are they going to be the blocker of change? And you have to know that. This is what you do in the beginning, because if you don't know this, if you don't analyze this, if you don't see this, you're going to stumble when the time comes for the execution. And then once I understand this, then I start to put a strategy in my mind, which is different than the company strategy. It's an execution strategy. And this is where people also miss the mark. They think a plan is the same as a strategy. And they think because there's a company strategy of where we want to go, how we want to, what we want to do and how we want to get there, that it's the same. That's enough. Now I can go from here to a plan to execute. Absolutely not. Between the company strategy of where the company wants to go and the plan of the steps you want to do and the sequence in which you want to do them and how long it's going to take and all that, there needs to be an execution strategy that is in the mind of someone who has the vision of the how we're going to get there, using the people and the team that we have on the ground, fully aware of their strength, their weaknesses, their motivations, and then lining it up in a way where you minimize the amount of blocks that you're going to find, whether it's in the boardroom or whether it's in a team meeting.
I would like to understand from your side that when you're driving these transformations across regions, cultures, what sort of leadership mindset is actually required to drive this transformation on a larger scale?
You need to be able to adapt, and you need to be super humble. The ego has no room in a transformation, and that is a difficult one for me because I do have an ego. But I've learned over the years that having an ego of where I'm right because I have X number of experience and therefore will not work in my favor. And that there is always an opportunity to do something different or do it in a different way. And so the mindset is that whenever I start on a transformation is with the mindset of I want to learn, I want to listen, and listen to hear what is being said and what isn't being said, but is being observed.
That's
right. That's so important. And then I need to go back, and self-awareness is extremely important, and make sure that any biases that I have, whether they're biases because of past experience, learnings, I test those and say, okay, am I behaving, or am I taking a decision that is based on what I am seeing now, what I'm hearing now, what I'm feeling now, and what the reality is now? Or is my thinking based on some biases, influenced by biases that I are naturally there, that I have to be very aware of, and then try to not give in to them, right? And it's not easy. It really isn't easy to do, but it is what I need to do. And this is how I'm able to get things to the finish line, even when things are very, very difficult. It's by being on the ground, by knowing who I'm working with. And sometimes I see that I'm going to face a problem, down the road, but it's a problem I don't need to take away. Let it be there. That's okay. I need to get to a certain point, and then it's a different plan. So you have to know what you have to really know what you're doing, and why, and be able to adapt and be extremely self-aware and have zero ego.
That actually holds quite a depth. And just out of curiosity, I would like to know, out of 10 plus transformations, so how many were successful and at how many actually failed down?
So they were all extremely difficult. And this is the thing with transformation, is people say, okay, were they successful? What is the definition of successful? Were they all on time? They arrived at the same hour? And again, this is why I say, a transformation is not a project.
It's not like you.
It's not a beginning with an end. Because the minute you think there's an end to it, that means it's like the analogy I give. I go to the gym to exercise and build my muscles. If I go to the gym and it's in my plan, I'm going to go 3 times a week for 3 months. You see something happen. Oh, you look good. Fine. I achieved my results. I built my muscles, whatever. I feel good. And I stop. What happens 3 months later? I'm back to how I was, maybe even worse.
Yeah.
So transformation is the muscle of an organization that you need to keep evolving and keep training. It doesn't stop. And success, it depends what you define it. And again, this is a really important, because people ask me, why do transformations fail? They fail because a lot of times people don't know what a transformation is. So they have an idea of, if they didn't implement this billing platform on time, then the transformation failed. Or they have an idea of a transformation is, so many things that need to happen, but if it doesn't happen in this way, it's like you go to a restaurant. I'm going to give you this simple analogy. I think this is the easiest way for me to explain. With your friend who's a vegetarian, you love steak. You take them to the best steak restaurant in Dubai. The chef prepares a steak and you're eating it and you're enjoying it and you're loving every bite of it, because you know this was your expectations. You're going to go to a steak restaurant, you're going to have a steak. But your vegan friend did not take a single bite. They were disgusted by it. To them, that was a failed outing. No matter how great the steak was, you failed. To you, it was great.
Yeah.
So expectations of what the transformation is, what the outcomes that we're going to measure are or need to be, and what success looks like, that has to be defined up front. And it needs to be aligned by all stakeholders, because the finance guy has an expectation of success that you delivered under budget. The IT guy has a definition of success that I delivered. The system's up and running. The business guy has an expectation that this thing is going to make my life easier, my job easier. I'm going to be able to serve customers much faster than I do now. The sales guy has an expectation that whatever you just did is going to help him increase revenues. So most of the time on transformations, nobody wants to have that conversation. They want to get going with the project. 1 or 2 people have a vision of what it needs to be, but the expectations are not aligned.
So what does a real successful transformation looks like to you?
It's one where when it's achieved, or you get to a certain point, everybody recognizes everybody that is part of the transformation journey. Hence why one of the most important roles of a transformation leader is to bring people along the journey, recognizes some benefit from the journey so far, but more importantly, are now keen for the next phase of the journey. Because if they think, we just arrived, it's good, finished, now give it back to IT. IT is back into business as usual, and let's not disturb the waters. Let's go back to what we used to do as comfortable. Then you have not done a transformation. I'm sorry, you have not done a transformation. You've done a really good project, maybe, but you did not transform anything. It's like the rubber band. You stretch it, but then If you stop wanting to keep stretching it and you take your finger off it, what happens? It goes right back to its original state.
Yeah.
Same. It's the transformation is that I have now people in the company that think of continuously improving, and they're always looking at outcomes, not siloed egos, but outcomes for the business, outcomes for the customers. And that's what I love about Esyasoft, by the way. This is what I love about this company. I find it's a very special thing. One is the CEO founder mentality, where our CEO is on Mount Everest, but he's also sometimes walking, his feet are in the water on the shore, right?
Yes.
The other thing that I really like is, when I speak with Bipin, there's one thing he says that I absolutely love. And as a transformation leader here, I want to protect at all costs, which is, Esyasoft is growing at a crazy pace. Alhamdulillah. We're in the right industry and we're growing. But what he says, and I understand why he says it, whether we're a company of, the startup where we started, where you're, 30 employees, or we scale to be 10,000 employees, our mindset needs to stay that of a startup. It doesn't mean we don't put the rigor in place, we don't have a little bit more structure, there may be a little bit of processes and bureaucracy you have to introduce because you're a bigger company and you're operating at a global level. But every employee in their DNA and in their mindset needs to be the mindset of what will it take, what can I do, and how can I improve things, and be empowered to do that, just like in a startup. When I worked in a startup, one day I'm the business analyst, the next day I'm the developer, one day I'm the coffee maker, it doesn't matter. Whatever it takes, we'll do whatever it takes to deliver the best outcomes for our customers. That's the mindset.
So Jamal, what leadership behaviors build the trust during this change?
I always believe leading by example. If you want your team to be agile and to think creatively, then you need to empower them. And you need to be also create the environment that allows them to exhibit these behaviors. The analogy I would give you is that of a gardener.
Okay.
The gardener does not grow the plants by stretching them from the ground. What does a leader do? What does a gardener do? You create the right environment. You plant the seed. You nurture it, and you let it grow to be what it was meant to be. So what's your job? Is to know what seeds you want to plant. So you get the right people in your company. If you want to grow a garden of roses, you plant roses. You don't go plant a cucumber and then expect the cucumber to become a rose. It doesn't work. So if I'm a leader and I have a vision for what kind of culture I want and what kind of mindset I want in a company, then I go get the seeds, plant. But you also look at the soil. Your job is to make sure you're creating the right soil for that seed to grow. Your job is to water it. Your job is to make sure there's enough light for it, or rain, depending on what is it that you're planting. And if you do that as a leader, then you will have the garden that you envision and that you wanted. So our job as leaders is to know what it is, what is the culture that we want, and to create the environment and give the tools to our people so that they can be the best that they can be.
I like that you said the straight.
You can't stretch it. You have to allow it to, and that's why I say people is the most difficult part of a transformation.
True.
Because you can't accelerate the growth, you can't accelerate the change just by wanting it to. You can't have a rose garden bloom just because you're stretching the leaves out of the soil. It's going to take what it needs to take.
In this conversation around transformation, we cannot miss about AI. Yeah. In your opinion, how organizations should actually prepare people for this change which is coming because of the AI transformations?
Yeah. So there was a time before AI and maybe even before the internet where you hired people for what they know, because knowledge was not at your fingertips. So you needed people who have a lot of knowledge, consultants, researchers, people who have the academia. Very good. With AI, you still want people who are smart and have the knowledge, but knowledge is at your fingertips. A 5-year-old can put a prompt and it will give him all the information he needs. So what is it then that is the next wave? Well, what AI doesn't have is experience. AI has knowledge. AI does not have experience and never will have experience. People have experience. So if you want to be valuable to an organization and play a role in the future, you need to be of a mindset where you try things, you do things, you have first-hand experience in things, not just talk the talk, reading from PowerPoint slides. But if you want to do transformations or speak about transformations, then go and be part of a transformation and deliver a transformation, right? If you want to help a company build smart meters, don't just read about them. Go and build smart meters. So experience is key. And so how do you get that experience? Well, one, you have to be of a mindset where you don't think this is what I do. This is who I am. And if it's not in my job description, or you need to always be thinking, what can I learn more? And that's the challenge now. You never can stop learning, but not only learning from an academic standpoint, learning and acquiring experience. That would be your differentiator. So experience, hands-on, having done it, is what AI can't claim. And that's where, people with experience see things different than people who read about something.
So when people will look at Esyasoft journey 5 years down the line,
yes.
So what do you hope that they will say that we have transformed into?
Well, I do believe, based on the trajectory that we're on, and inshallah, everything is God's will, but we will be able to arrive at our destination and our vision, and then we'll be at the next phase of who we are, which is that we are impacting lives in a meaningful way, that we have reduced the CO2 emissions and contributed to bettering our environment in a meaningful way, that we have introduced technology that helped accelerate the energy transition in a significant way, and that we did all of that with the humbleness and with honesty, with integrity, and along the way we kept building the trust that on that trust that our customers have put in us. And inshallah that we continue to have our amazing leader, at the helm, guiding us. But this time we are not only operating in 12 countries, which is phenomenal, but in many more countries. We are touching, 1 billion lives, not 50 million. And 10 billions, reduction of CO2 emission as a result of what we have done with our customers. That would be my vision.
Yeah.
which is I believe our CEO's vision, because my job is to execute and help us get where our CEO wants us to go.
So Jamal, this has been an incredible, insightful discussion with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for your time.